Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Aura and today we are going to talk about suffering. Doing the work that I do, I have had the honor to facilitate so many beautiful sessions in which clients have experienced their soul origins, where they have experienced wholeness, who they truly are in their entire essence as a fractal of Source, where they have returned back home to their entire complete beingness as an organism, as part of the all that is, and experiencing themselves as the all that is, only to then come back crying and inquiring about the suffering of humanity. Why is it that we need to suffer so much when there is so much beauty within ourselves, when we are made up of so much love, unconditional love and acceptance, infinite beauty, grace, purity? Why is it that we incarnate in these bodies only to have a human experience which is loaded with suffering? And that is because we are being disconnected from ourselves with every single experience that we encounter since we are in the womb. And we make sure that we maintain it that way because as we were kids, children, babies, or even in the womb, it has served the purpose of protecting us, of helping us disassociate from a reality, from situations and events which we were not ready and not equipped to tackle. Because as children, we could not protect ourselves. If we would, it would be at the expense of our relationship with our parents, with the people that care for us, that give us shelter and protection. So in order to naturally maintain the shelter and protection that we needed, we chose to disconnect from ourselves, to repress who it is that we truly are whenever we expressed our needs, which were upsetting to those who were giving us the shelter and protection. And they were upsetting to them because those who are giving us shelter and protection, who are our parents, our guardians, or whoever it is that took care of us as we were small, they had to learn how to disconnect from themselves as they were children in order to maintain their relationships with the people that were giving them protection and shelter. So our suffering is nothing but a repetitive pattern that we as adults can begin to undo. And there is this saying that there is never too late to have a happy childhood. And that is because the changes that you are creating now in this moment as an adult change your past and your future, because everything happens right in this moment. Suffering takes place because we forget that we are all one. We forget that we are not separated. And so many of us, even if we do have this information, choose to remain separated because the suffering is so great that it became the only thing that we know. And it becomes our home, our world, our shelter, our everything. So we would never give that up, because without this suffering, we would feel alone, unprotected, bare, exposed to the world. And so many people who did expose themselves as children, meaning they did expose their true essence, ended up being hurt, which is why this separation is now a protective blanket, which so many of us choose to wear throughout our lives. Suffering is not pain. Suffering is a longing for the true self, because we know that the true self is nothing more and nothing less than unconditional love, pure unconditional acceptance, simple easiness. This is what we all are. This is what we're all born into. And yes, even though we are all unique beings, unique fractals of Source containing the entirety of God and all of its attributes and abilities within us, the fact that each and every single one of us is unique means, paradoxically, that we are all the same. We are all one. And it is this uniqueness that wants to be expressed, and it is this oneness that needs to be remembered and acknowledged and recognized within the collective consciousness and within the human collective as a unity consciousness. The way to end suffering is remembering the infinite aspect of all that we are, and the fact that every single other being, so-called outside of ourselves, perceived as being outside of ourselves, every single object, every single organic particle, matter, and energy that we perceive is us. It is not just an extension of us, but it is an expression of us. Every single person that we talk to is you. It's another you. Every single animal we interact with, every single plant, every single rock, every single grain of sand, every single cloud, every single drop of rain is another you. And it is another you expressing itself in its own unique way, having its own unique form and individual characteristics. Through quantum physics, we discovered decades ago that the observer is that which is observed, and that which is observed is the observer. Without the observer, that which is observed cannot exist. And that which exists only exactly as it is created in the perception of the observer, meaning that the observer is the creator and the subject itself. Everything that we experience, everything that we perceive, including our body, is a creation of our own perception. Wherever we perceive disease, we can choose to no longer perceive it. Whatever concept and experience that instills suffering can be changed and recalibrated by finding our way back into unity, by finding our way back into ourselves. And all of this starts again with the individual. This is not the job of your neighbor. It's not the job of our politicians. It's not the job of anyone other than ourselves. The daily wars that we play out in our own mind with our own being are being reflected in our everyday reality. People inflict suffering on others because they themselves suffer. We inflict suffering on our loved ones when we suffer. And so many times it's not even needed to express this suffering because we innately feel each other as we are part of each other, especially within our family and friend circles. When we begin to free ourselves, we begin to free the world. When we begin to heal ourselves, we begin to heal the world. The opposite of suffering is knowing oneself. And when we know oneself, we start to reconnect with all of these parts of ourselves that we have chosen to disconnect from, that we have chosen not to be, not to love, because we thought and we were conditioned to understand that they are unlovable, unwelcomed. And so we chose to unwelcome these parts of ourselves in order to create a role in this life that would please others, that would attract others, that would create some type of safety. But we are never happy with this type of safety, no matter how many people we attract in our lives, no matter how much attention we get, because we are aware of the fact that we are not being ourselves by doing so. We are playing a role, and this in itself creates suffering. Whether we are conscious of it or not, most of it's unconscious. This is why practices such as meditation and hypnotherapy, and it's called therapy, because you dive into yourself and begin to reacquaint yourself with all these different parts of your subconscious mind or your unconscious mind. And you learn to love, understand, and accept them again as part of who you are, and thus becoming a whole integrated being. And in doing so, if we all do this one by one, we then by example, give permission to others to do the same, as these practices again remind us that we are all one. And so we will begin to recognize others as parts of ourselves, as another us, as another you. And because we have done the work in moments of being so-called attacked, harassed, or in any way abused by another, we will not react with the same response because their suffering, their anger, their pain and unknowingness will not affect us. And then we will be prepared to also receive these people with love, kindness, and understanding. We will have the capacity to create a safe space and hold them within unconditional love and acceptance, which for most people who are looking to argue and have a confrontation will come as a shock, as an unexpected way to be received. And this is how we offer one another the love and understanding that we all need, that we are all looking for. This is how we remind one another that it's okay to suffer. First of all, suffering needs to be acknowledged. It cannot be removed. It can only be transformed, and we can only transform it if we first acknowledge, understand, and accept it for what it is. And the more of us begin to do this, the sooner our world will change. The sooner we will end wars, end suffering, end separation, end physical, mental, and emotional pain, and achieve a state of clarity and harmony within ourselves and with one another. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe because it helps to share it with others. And if you have any questions, please type them in the comments below. Have a most magnificent and wonderful moment of the infinite now. Take care of yourselves. Bye.